Okay, so these were the two equations that we got at the end of class, one representing the horizontal position for the ball to reach the outfield wall, and one representing the vertical position for it to clear the wall. And as we talked about, we had two unknowns here, initial velocity and time, and we're going to use a system of equations to solve this. And since this isn't linear, we're kind of back to the original methods that we had, substitution or elimination. Substitution is way easier here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the equations and solve for a variable. And this equation looks much easier than the other to get a variable by itself. I could either get t by itself or v naught by itself, but if I get the t by itself, I'll have to plug it into two different places over here. So I'm going to do the v naught by itself instead. So in order to make that happen, I'm going to divide both sides by t times the cosine of 23. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to substitute it in for the v naught there. So that would look like this. There's the v naught, and then we had this. All right. So this is now one equation that has one unknown in it, time. So we're going to simplify this down and then seek to solve for time. So look at the middle term. If I multiplied those two things together, I would have a t on top and a t on bottom. So those things will cancel out. And if I put those two terms together, that will look like this. Now, if you notice, the second term now doesn't have a t in it, it's just a number. And the third term also doesn't have a t in it, it's just a number. So what I'm going to do is move those two terms over. And now I'm going to use my calculator to figure out what this number is. And that's negative 138.19 and some other stuff. I'm going to use that in my calculator, so I'm going to put the ellipsis there. It shows I'm still using more decimal places than what I wrote down. So now I want to solve this thing for t. So I can easily do that by dividing both sides by negative 16. That would give me 8.637 and change equals t squared. And then to get this t by itself, I take the square root of that number. And that would give me 2.93 and some change. Now that's the time involved in this. I don't want the time though. I was trying to find the initial velocity. So if I take this time and pop it right here, that will spit out what the initial velocity should be. So 335 divided by that time that we just got times the cosine of 23. And that gives me 123.83. Now that I've arrived at an answer, I'm free to round, and my units on this, because we used the negative 32 and everything was in feet and seconds in the problem, would be feet per second.